All right, so are you ready to dive deep today?
I am.
Okay, good, because we're going to be exploring Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's been a self-help cornerstone pretty much since it came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's all about this wild idea that our thoughts can actually impact our physical health. We're talking migraines, from self-criticism, back pain, from feeling unsupported.
Wow.
Pretty intense stuff. So let's unpack this with expert speaker today.
Sure.
And see what we can learn.
Sounds good.
So I think one of the things that's interesting is how Hay doesn't just throw out these connections between emotions and ailments.
Right.
She really dives into kind of the how and why she believes these links exist.
Right.
And she does this through her own experiences and observations.
Yeah, she definitely draws on a lot of anecdotal evidence from her own life and from working with people as a counselor.
Right. And at the core of it all is this concept that negativity, whether it's self-doubt, anger, or fear, can manifest as physical symptoms.
Yeah, it's almost like our bodies are trying to send us a message.
Yeah.
Through these symptoms.
Totally.
Pay attention to what's going on inside.
Right, what's going on internally.
Yeah.
And I think the most empowering part of Hay's message is that we're not helpless in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
She really suggests that we can actually change our thought patterns. And by doing so, we can heal ourselves.
Yeah, it's really about recognizing that power we have over our inner world and how that impacts our outer world.
So true.
Yeah, that's a very empowering message.
It is. I mean, it can feel pretty chaotic sometimes,
Right.
taking control of the narrative in your own head.
Absolutely.
But she really pushes this idea of self-love as a key part of healing.
Yes.
It's not just about, thinking positive thoughts. It's about genuinely loving and accepting ourselves,
Right.
flaws and all.
Absolute flaws and all. Self-love is the foundation of her whole approach.
Totally.
And she even talks about forgiveness,
Right.
both of ourselves and others, as a way to release those negative emotions that might be holding us back.
So interesting. Now, this book has obviously been hugely popular.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also sparked a lot of debate,
Right.
particularly within the medical and scientific communities.
Uh-huh.
Some say it oversimplifies the causes of illness.
Right.
And could even be harmful by suggesting people can think their way out of serious diseases.
Right.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's definitely important to acknowledge those concerns.
Yeah.
While stress and emotions definitely play a role in overall health.
Yeah.
Suggesting that serious diseases can be cured
Right.
solely through positive thinking is
Yeah.
a bit of a leap.
Right.
Medical treatments are crucial,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't dismiss them.
Totally. So it's about finding that balance
Right.
between, exploring these ideas and also seeking professional medical advice.
Absolutely.
We're not suggesting that anyone listening ditch their doctor and
Mm-hmm.
solely rely on positive affirmations.
Right.
Right.
We want to make that clear.
Yeah, exactly. We're not advocating for that.
No.
But I do think there is value in exploring that mind-body connection
Uh-huh.
and how our emotional state might contribute to our overall well-being.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an important area to explore.
Absolutely. And one of the tools that Hay offers for shifting that emotional state is this intriguing concept of mirror work.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever tried this?
I have.
You have.
I have.
I have to admit, I'm a little intimidated by the idea of talking to myself in the mirror.
Well, I understand the hesitation.
Yeah.
But I've tried it, and it could be surprisingly powerful.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, imagine looking at yourself in the mirror
Okay.
and saying, I love and approve of myself.
Oh, wow.
It might feel awkward at first,
Yeah, I bet.
but the repetition of these positive affirmations can really start to shift your mindset over time.
Interesting. So it's like rewiring your brain to focus on the positive.
Exactly.
Instead of constantly criticizing ourselves,
Right.
we're intentionally flooding our minds with loving and supportive messages.
Yeah, you're kind of changing the channel of your internal dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Hay provides a ton of example affirmations in the book,
Right.
but she also encourages people to come up with their own.
Yes, definitely.
Resonate deeply with their individual needs and desires.
Yeah, find the words that really speak to your soul.
Yeah.
Not just parroting phrases that feel generic
Yeah.
or inauthentic.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious about some of the specific correlations that Hay makes between emotional states and physical ailments.
Sure.
For instance, she links digestive issues to unresolved fear.
Right.
It's a fascinating idea.
Yeah.
But do you think there's any scientific basis for this?
that's where I think we need to approach things with a critical eye.
Yeah.
While it's interesting to consider the mind-body connection, it's important to remember that these are anecdotal observations.
Yeah.
Not scientifically proven facts.
Right. So it's more about like prompting introspection rather than taking it as a medical diagnosis.
Exactly.
If you are experiencing persistent digestive issues, see a doctor.
Absolutely.
But it might also be worth exploring whether there's any underlying fear or anxiety that could be contributing to the problem.
Yeah, it's about asking yourself,
right.
Hey, is there something going on emotionally that might be impacting my physical health?
Yeah.
It could be a starting point for self-reflection and deeper understanding.
I like that. It's not about self-blaming. It's about self-discovery.
Exactly.
Now, Hay's book also delves into some pretty controversial territory.
Okay.
Specifically, her claims about birth defects being linked to karma and children choosing their parents.
Yeah, these are definitely ideas that require careful consideration.
Yeah.
While they're rooted in certain spiritual beliefs, these claims could be quite upsetting and offensive to some, especially those who are personally affected by these sensitive topics.
Right. It's a good reminder that while we can find inspiration and food for thought in books like this, it's also crucial to think critically and form our own opinions.
Absolutely.
What resonates with one person might not sit well with another.
Right.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with everything.
Totally. You can take what speaks to you and leave what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've explored some of the foundational concepts of you can heal your life, from the power of positive thinking to the controversial connections between emotions and physical health.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to uncover.
Okay.
Join us in part 2 as we delve deeper into Hay's philosophy and explore some of the practical tools she offers for personal transformation.
Sounds good.
All right. See you then.
See you then.
Welcome back, Deep Divers. We're continuing our journey through You Can Heal Your Life, and I'm really curious to dig into Hay's thoughts on how childhood experiences shape our beliefs and ultimately our health. It's like our early years create this blueprint that we kind of carry with us.
Yeah, it's a powerful idea, isn't it?
It is.
Hay argues that many of our limiting beliefs about ourselves, about love, about success, all stem from messages we received in childhood, often unconsciously.
Interesting.
Think about the things you were told as a kid. Maybe even things you weren't told, but you absorbed from the atmosphere around you.
Yeah.
Those messages can have a huge impact on our self-worth and how we navigate the world.
So it's like these early experiences create this lens through which we view everything.
Exactly.
And that can affect not just our mental and emotional health, but our physical health as well.
Exactly.
Wow.
He encourages us to examine those early beliefs and challenge the ones that are no longer serving us. It's about recognizing that we're not bound by our past.
Right.
We have the power to rewrite our stories.
It's like those old cassette tapes we used to have, you know? The ones that would get all jungled, play the same frustrating loop over and over.
Right.
Hay is basically saying we can hit the record button and create a new, more empowering soundtrack for our lives.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Thanks. And rewinding back to those early experiences can be emotional work.
Right.
Hay doesn't shy away from that.
No, she doesn't.
In fact, she encourages readers to confront those uncomfortable truths about themselves and their past.
Yeah, she believes that's where true healing begins.
That makes sense. But it also raises a question for me.
Okay.
How does Hay's philosophy intersect with traditional medicine?
Right.
Does she advocate for rejecting medical treatments altogether, solely focusing on mindset?
That's a common question.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand that Hay's message is about empowering individuals to take an active role in their healing journey.
Right.
But she doesn't explicitly advocate for rejecting traditional medicine.
So it's not an either-or situation. It's more about finding a balance.
Exactly. Right. It's about recognizing that both traditional medicine and holistic approaches have their place. Hay's work encourages individuals to explore all available options and make informed choices that align with their beliefs and values.
It's like being the CEO of your own health, right?
I like that analogy.
You gather information from different sources, you weigh the pros and cons, and then you make the decisions that feel right for you.
Yeah, it emphasizes personal agency and informed decision-making.
Totally.
And speaking of making choices, One thing that really stood out to me in the book is Hay's emphasis on the present moment.
Oh, yeah.
She seems to suggest that dwelling on the past or worrying about the future can be detrimental to our well-being.
Oh, that resonates with me so much. I'm a chronic overthinker.
Right.
Always replaying past mistakes.
Yeah.
Or fretting about what might happen.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
You and me both.
Yeah.
But Hay reminds us that the only moment we truly have control over is the present. She argues that dwelling on past regrets or anxieties about the future keeps us trapped in a cycle of negativity, preventing us from fully experiencing the joy and abundance that life has to offer.
It's like that saying, worrying is like paying interest on a debt you may never owe.
Right.
We're spending all this energy on things that might not even happen, and it's robbing us of the present moment.
And this ties back to her emphasis on positive affirmations. By consciously choosing to focus our thoughts on what we want to create, on affirming positive outcomes. We can actually shift our energy and potentially attract more of what we desire into our lives.
So it's not about ignoring our problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about training our minds to focus on the good, on what we can control, rather than getting bogged down by negativity.
Precisely. It's about cultivating a mindset of gratitude and possibility.
I like that. And, you know, one of the tools that Hay suggests for shifting our mindset is, of course, that infamous mirror work.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious. Have you had a chance to try it out?
I have.
Since we last spoke?
Yes. I still do it regularly, actually.
You do?
Yeah. I find it very helpful.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Confession time. I did try it, and it was, well, let's just say it was an experience. It felt so awkward at first.
I can imagine.
I was standing there making eye contact with myself in the mirror.
Right.
And like trying to say these affirmations with conviction.
Yeah.
And I felt like a crazy person.
Well, it definitely takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
But what struck me is that it's not just about reciting these affirmations. It's about truly seeing yourself.
Oh, wow.
It's about making eye contact with your own reflection.
Yeah.
And acknowledging your worth, your beauty, your inherent goodness.
And it's challenging.
It is challenging.
I mean, we're so used to focusing on our flaws, on what we perceive as wrong, or lacking to stand there and intentionally speak words of kindness and love to ourselves.
Yeah.
It can feel almost revolutionary.
It is revolutionary.
Yeah.
Hay believes that by consciously choosing to replace those negative self-talk tapes with positive affirmations, we can actually start to shift our self-perception and cultivate a more loving relationship with ourselves.
It's like we're breaking those old patterns of self-criticism and replacing them with a newfound sense of self-compassion.
Exactly.
You know what? Even though it felt awkward, I have to admit, I did feel a little shift afterward.
Yeah.
It was like a tiny spark of self-love had been ignited.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And remember, it's a practice,
Yeah.
not a perfection game.
Right.
The more we do it, the more natural it becomes.
Yeah.
To treat ourselves with kindness and understanding.
And I think that's a key point. It's not about suddenly becoming this perfectly positive person who never has a negative thought.
Right.
It's about cultivating a more loving and supportive inner dialogue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that inner dialogue, that self-talk, is so powerful.
It is.
It shapes how we view ourselves, how we interact with the world,
Right.
and ultimately how we experience life.
It's like we're the narrator of our own story, and Hay is encouraging us to choose a more empowering and compassionate narrative.
I love that.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking of narratives, one of the things that Hay emphasizes in the book is the power of forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
She suggests that holding on to resentment and anger can be detrimental to our health.
Yeah, forgiveness is such a complex topic, isn't it?
It is.
It's easy to say, just forgive and move on.
Right.
But it can be so much harder to actually do.
Yeah.
Especially when we've been hurt or wronged.
Totally.
It's definitely not easy.
No.
And Haig acknowledges that.
Yeah.
But she emphasizes that forgiveness isn't about condoning harmful actions.
Right.
It's about releasing ourselves from the grip of negativity and resentment, which can weigh us down emotionally and even physically.
So it's more about freeing ourselves than about excusing the actions of others.
Right.
It's about recognizing that holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run.
Exactly. Forgiveness is a process and it can take time.
Yeah.
But it's a journey worth taking because it ultimately leads to greater inner peace.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
And, this idea of releasing negativity and embracing a more positive outlook ties into Hay's emphasis on gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
She seems to suggest that cultivating a grateful heart is essential for healing happiness.
Gratitude is such a powerful force.
It is.
And it's something we can practice every day,
right,
regardless of our circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our attention away from scarcity and lack, and we open ourselves up to abundance and joy.
It's like that saying, what you focus on expands.
Right.
If we're constantly dwelling on what's wrong or what we're missing, we're just going to attract more of that into our lives.
Yeah.
But if we focus on the good, even the small things, we start to see the world through a more positive lens.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the more they practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes to notice the blessings that surround us.
So true.
It's like training our minds to see the glass half full.
Totally. Now I'm curious about how Hay's philosophy applies to relationships. Does she offer any specific advice for creating healthy connections?
Hay emphasizes the importance of self-love as the foundation for all healthy relationships.
Right.
She suggests that when we learn to love and accept ourselves, fully flaws and all, we attract partners who reflect that love and respect back to us.
It's like that old saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
If we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not filling our own cup with love and self-acceptance, we can't expect to give that to others or receive it in return.
Exactly. When we come from a place of wholeness and self-love, we're less likely to settle for relationships that diminish us.
Yeah.
We're more likely to attract partners who support our growth, who celebrate our strengths, and who love us for who we truly are.
And that ties into setting healthy boundaries, knowing our worth, and not being afraid to walk away from relationships that are no longer serving us.
Absolutely. Hay encourages us to be mindful of the energy we bring into our relationships, and to choose partners who uplift and inspire us.
So it's not just about finding someone who completes us, but about finding someone who complements us, who adds to our lives in a positive and meaningful way.
Beautifully said.
Thanks. Relationships should be a source of joy and support, not a source of drama or depletion.
Exactly.
Right.
And speaking of support, one topic that Hay addresses in the book that I find particularly interesting is her perspective on aging.
Oh, yeah.
How does she suggest that we approach this often dreaded stage of life?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, especially in Western culture, have this fear of getting older.
Right.
We associate aging with decline and loss, and we try to fight it every step of the way. But Hay offers a very different perspective.
She does.
Yeah.
Hay encourages us to embrace aging as a natural and beautiful part of life.
Wow.
She argues that our beliefs about aging actually have a profound impact on how we experience it.
So if we're constantly bombarded with messages that tell us aging is something to be feared and avoided, we're more likely to internalize those beliefs and experience aging as a negative process.
Exactly. Society often portrays aging as a decline.
Right.
But Hay encourages us to see it as a time of wisdom, growth, and continued potential.
It's about reframing our perspective.
Yes.
And appreciating the beauty of each stage of life, right?
Exactly.
Recognizing that every age has its own unique gifts and challenges.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
Aging is a privilege, and it's an opportunity to continue learning, evolving, and sharing our gifts with the world.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the journey and wrinkles and all. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about Hay's legacy.
Sure.
Her book has been translated into over 30 languages.
Wow.
And has sold millions of copies worldwide.
That's amazing.
It is. What do you think is the key to its enduring appeal?
I think Hay's work has resonated with people from all walks of life because it offers a message of hope and empowerment. It's not just about reading a book.
Right.
It's about embarking on a journey.
Yeah.
Of self-discovery and transformation.
And it's a journey that anyone can take, regardless of their background or beliefs. Her writing style is so accessible, so down to earth. It's like she's having a heart-to-heart conversation with the reader, sharing her own experiences and vulnerabilities along the way.
Exactly. Her message is both profound and relatable.
Yeah.
She combines personal anecdotes with practical tools, making her philosophy both inspiring and actionable.
It's not just about airy-fairy concepts. It's about giving people tangible steps they can take to improve their lives.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. It's not just theoretical.
Right, and that's why, despite the criticisms, You Can Heal Your Life continues to touch so many people.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the power of self-love and the transformative potential of positive thinking.
And it all stems from Hay's own personal journey, which was filled with challenges and adversity. She faced abuse, poverty, and a range of health issues, but she ultimately found healing and empowerment through the very principles she shares in the book.
Yeah, her story is incredibly inspiring.
It is.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of choosing love over fear. Hay's legacy continues to remind us that no matter what we've been through, we have the power to heal ourselves, to rewrite our stories, and to create lives filled with joy, purpose, and love.
Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, we're going to take a short break to let all this wisdom sink in.
Sure.
Join us in part 3 as we wrap up our deep dive into You Can Heal Your Life.
Sounds good.
And explore some key takeaways for our listeners.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
See you then.
Welcome back to our final deep dive into You Can Heal Your Life.
Yes.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, it has.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the power of our thoughts to the role of those childhood experiences, from that mirror work to the concept of forgiveness.
Right.
As we wrap up this exploration, what key takeaways do you think our listeners can apply to their own lives?
Well, I think one of the most important takeaways from Hay's work is this idea that we have more agency over our well-being than we often realize. It's not about ignoring external factors or denying the reality of illness or anything like that. But it's about recognizing that inner power that we possess to influence how we respond to challenges.
So it's like we have this inner toolkit filled with different tools and techniques, and You Can Heal Your Life helps us kind of rediscover those tools. Hay encourages us to look within and ask, what beliefs am I holding on to that might be limiting me? What can I do to shift those beliefs and create a healthier, happier reality?
Exactly.
I love that.
And while the specific techniques she offers, affirmations, mirror work, visualizations, those might not resonate with everyone. But the underlying principle, I think, is really powerful. It's about consciously choosing the thoughts that we want to nurture and in turn influencing the reality that we experience.
It's like we're the gardeners of our own minds, tending to the soil, planting seeds of positivity and weeding out those negative thoughts that can kind of choke our growth.
That's a beautiful analogy. I think Hay's legacy really lies in that empowering message. She reminded millions of people that self-love isn't selfish. It's essential. And that forgiveness, while challenging, can ultimately set us free from the burden of the past.
So powerful. So as we resurface from this deep dive into You Can Heal Your Life, what's one small shift in thinking that our listeners could experiment with this week?
Well, if I embrace the idea that our thoughts do have the power to influence our reality, even in subtle ways. What's one limiting belief that you're ready to let go of?
Wow.
And what affirming thought could you replace it with? Even if it feels a little awkward or uncomfortable at first.
That's such a powerful prompt. And you know what, dear listeners? We would love to hear your reflections. Share your thoughts on social media using hashtag #DeepDiveHealYourLife.
That's a great idea.
Even those small shifts in thinking can create ripples of change. And we are so excited to be a part of your journey.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
Keep questioning and keep believing in the power within yourselves.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
It's been a pleasure.